All right, everyone, we're live right now. Good luck with the presentation.
Thanks, Ethan. Good afternoon and welcome to LIBOR's Wednesday webinar. My name is Marianne Monteleone, Vice President of Professional Development for the Long Island Board of Realtors. We have two very distinguished guests with us here today from Long Island Housing Partnership. And so that I don't omit anything, let me quickly read through their very impressive bios so that you know who we have as our guest speakers today. Peter J. Elkowitz Jr. is President and Chief Executive Officer. He has been with the Long Island Housing Partnership since 1989. Mr. Elkowitz is responsible for the overall operation of Long Island Housing Partnership and its affiliates. He holds a Master of Science degree in Policy Analysis and Public Management. In June 2002, Mr. Elkowitz completed the Senior Executives Program in State and Local Government at John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. He also received the Harry Weiner Distinguished Alumni Award in 1995 and the Governor's Award for Excellence in Housing in 1994. Currently, he serves on the advisory board of the New York Housing Conference, Inc. He's a board member and treasurer of the Grounded Solutions Network and a board member of Empire Justice Center. Mr. Elkowitz served as chair to the Federal Home Loan Bank of New York Affordable Housing Advisory Council and was a former member of the Long Island Regional Planning Council. James Britz is the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Long Island Housing Partnership and has been for over 20 years, and in 2016 was promoted to Executive Vice President, and then in 2019 to Chief Operating Officer, COO. He works on the overall implementation of multiple affordable housing development and supportive programs, including responsibility for supervision of various office personnel matters. Mr. Britz previously served on the Affordable Housing Advisory Council for the Federal Home Loan Bank of New York. Mr. Britz also has served on the board of directors for the Long Island Community Development Organization, the We Live New York Board of Young Professionals in New York State, and the South County Community Land Trust. So we welcome you gentlemen today, and we're glad to have you with us. And I turn it over to you, Peter and James.
Thank you, Marianne. We're going to talk a little bit about affordable housing today. And James, maybe you want to just forward the slide forward, and we can talk about what the Long Island Housing Partnership does and how we get it accomplished. And then we'll go into the various areas. So its mission is really to provide affordable housing opportunities to those through the ordinary unaided operation of the marketplace would be unable to secure and remain in a decent and safe home. And remain in a decent, safe home was just as critical as it was to get someone into a home, because we want to make sure all homeowners can maintain that home going forward. And when we had the downturning economy, one of the things that we got very involved in was help people stay in their homes who were having problems with their mortgage payments and those that were going into default or foreclosure. So it's just as critical not only to get people into homes, but make sure they can maintain the homes. And how we accomplish that, on the next slide, we will show you. We are actually a not-for-profit developer. We built single-family home ownership on Long Island on single-family scattered sites. We also build multifamily housing on Long Island as well. We worked in Bayshore. We worked in communities like Patchogue Village. We worked in both Nassau and Suffolk County, building single-family home ownership and multifamily home ownership developments. The second item under there is the Community Land Trust. That's a separate corporation. So we're multiple corporations. The parent corporation is Long Island Housing Partnership, and all these other corporations and programs that we have really help us to all meet the mission of creating affordable housing. So the Community Land Trust is established only to hold the properties of our single-family homes that we build or multifamily homes that we build, and the property is owned by the Community Land Trust, which is a not-for-profit organization. The house, the structure itself, is actually owned by the homeowner. So we will talk more about that as we get into the community land trust area today, to give you a little bit more information and background on it. We could not build alone. We have to work with our developers and our builders here on Long Island. And through our technical assistance program, we are a technical assistance provider to for-profit developers who are building affordable homes as part of their development, which out in Suffolk and Nassau County, there is a affordable housing law that was put in place by the state, and there's also local affordable housing laws. So the more restrictive law where they're building would comply. So, for example, they may not understand how they select the homeowners for the affordable homes. What are the requirements for those homeowners? So the private developer reaches out to us. We also work with municipalities who are developing codes and laws about affordable housing. And we work with them to understand what they need to consider when you're trying to establish a code, or affordable housing code for your community, for your area, for your village, town, etc. And we also work with other not-for-profits to assist them in getting people or creating more affordable home ownership, but getting people into home ownership homes that are affordable to them too, such as other community land trusts here on Long Island. Education is a big part of what we do. We provide a lot of mortgage counseling, which we will go through. We provide default and foreclosure counseling. We provide, student loan training for people that have student loans and how they can consolidate those loans, et cetera, to help them get a home. We're very big and heavy into advocacy and how, getting the word out about the importance of the need for affordable home ownership and how it affects the economic economy for Long Island. We are a community development financial institution, CDFI. We actually are the lending institution for some of the developments that we build on affordable homes to help the developer be able to get financing for the construction of the homes that we are building. And last but not least, with Hurricane Sandy and with a different type of disaster with COVID, we have a disaster relief corporation, which is the only corporation that does not abide us to certain income limits, because a disaster is a disaster and affects everybody. So, for example, with the COVID recently, the emergency rental assistance programs, the other programs that they put out, mortgage assistance programs, et cetera, we work with the federal government to establish those programs and to get the word out and get the money out to those in need. You want to? So just to give an idea, because you probably hear, as I said, there's only one corporation, which is the Disaster Relief Corporation, but all other corporations are required to follow income limits. That's one of the primary requirements to get into an affordable home. And the incomes vary. And you can see on the side there, you have all the different various median incomes, 30, 40, 50, 60, all the way up to 130%. The 130% we go up to because the state had put that into their affordable housing code. Especially, I think it's more towards the home ownership units because of the high taxes on Long Island. But you can really see the numbers. But this is a chart that's put out each year by HUD, the federal organization. And this is the 2023 HUD on cap numbers. So at 80%, the standard where all goes, where most programs go for home ownership and above, some go a little bit lower, but then we need to put more subsidy in. But the bottom line is, if you look at what the median income is here on Long Island, it's 156,300. And that median income, that's the basis for this chart. The median income is for a family of 4 at 100% of the area median income. So 156,300. So we're not talking about low numbers. And you can see even going down to in the 60s, you're talking about people making almost $100,000 for a family of 4. So these are the families, and based upon the funding sources that go into these homes, these are the families and how we determine what their income caps are, the maximum that we can go up to on our programs. So I will cover development, and I think James is going to talk about the rest, but we have been building single-family home ownership units for about 35 years now. We've put probably well over 1,000 scattered sites on Long Island of single-family homes. We went into the lots that were probably in neighborhoods that were just being dumped on with garbage and all. We cleaned those lots up and we put a new single-family home in place. We've done some major developments, like I said, in Bay Shore. We did 78 units down off of Smith Avenue. We did 40 units at Cortlandt Square. You can see the different programs that we've been involved. These were some of our single family homes, and you can see how they evolved over time, right? But our whole goal is to try to fit the homes into the community that we're building in, to make sure they fit in with the neighboring properties and the houses on the neighboring properties. So you can see we do 3-bedroom units, mostly some 4-bedroom units, and again, they're all different types of homes that we build. We try to fit it right into the community. Maybe you want to go into some of the multifamily, James? These are some of the multifamily developments. Cobble Ridge out in Manorville, there was 72 units there. Amity Villas was 72 units in Amityville. In Babylon Township, Long Beach, they wanted to make it look like the white stucco with the red roofs to fit into that community. So there was 15 homes there. Brookside Muse is a 2-family home, believe it or not. I just got off a housing meeting nationally where we were talking about building accessory apartments with homeownership. In this case, this is a home on the top level, and there's a senior accessory apartment on below underneath each home. So it's a 2-family, but the rental helps assist the homeowner in the homeowner portion with their mortgage. Southwind Village was the 78 units we talked about. That's over in Bay Shore. Remsen Muse is in the village of Hempstead. We built homes there. Cortlandt Square, also in Bay Shore, that's the 40 units. And then Sunnybrook is 10 units in Bay Shore. So as you can see, we built both single family and home ownership units. So do you want to take the community land trust, or do you want to stop and ask if anyone has any questions at this point, Mary Ann?
I don't see any. You
Yeah, I
can-
don't see any as well.
Okay, right. So do you want to talk a little bit about the community land trust, James?
Sure. So about 5 or 6 years ago, we've been doing development since we started 35 years ago. We started to do some research and look into, the community land trust model. We had always had done some trainings on it and understood what it was. We had just never looked at creating a community land trust here. And one of the reasons why we decided to go the community land trust route was to make sure we continue to have the long-term security of keeping these units and the homes that we're building affordable, and making sure for generations to come that we'll have these homes available to the income populations that need them most. So many of the times in our early developments, once the grant period was up and the funding sources recapture periods were up, a lot of the people sold their homes and made a windfall profit, especially on the East End. So we really wanted to look at trying to secure that and working through the process of creating this community land trust. And obviously, over the last few years, we've started to work on different properties across Nassau and Suffolk counties, specifically in the towns of Babylon, Brookhaven, Islip, Smithtown, Hempstead, and Oyster Bay. And then we've also worked in the villages of Island Park, East Rockaway, Freeport, and Lindenhurst. So we've already created numerous homes in the community land trust, and this year we're anticipated closing about 12 to 15 different properties that are in the construction phase. And as we talked about, a lot of it is geared towards people at or below 80% of that area median income, which is an income population that has a hard time and struggles on Long Island to be able to create home ownership opportunities and have the ability to be homeowners. So that is the major focus on our community land trust homes. And as I said, over the last few years, we've started to build the pipeline, and we have numerous programs planned and are moving forward.
So James, can you just go pop back to one picture? I just want to make a comment. We have a question. These homes that you see here, they might look elevated because they are elevated. These are the FEMA rebuilds where we took down the homes that were there and we built them to the new FEMA standards. So underneath is so that if the water comes up, it can go through the home and come back out, and they are built to the new hurricane FEMA standards. So that's why they're somewhat elevated in these pictures. But to give you an idea, so again, we make sure that we build them for what the purpose and needs are on the properties that we have. So it's just a different type of home, but this is where we obtain some of our land from that, and we also obtain our land from foreclosed properties that are passed on to build for a public purpose, which is affordable housing. The question that came up, James, was, can we give, the chart was very small, could we give some examples of family sizes at different incomes? So maybe we take the 80% AMI at 80.
Sure. So I mean, I could talk about what we're selling our homes at right now. Our total construction costs are in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. To build a new single family home, especially, that has to be rebuilt and elevated for flood zone purposes and for insurance purposes. So we have to go out then, and obviously the income population, 80% AMI, ranges from anywhere from people making $60,000 for a household of one, all the way up to a household of four. The maximum is 123.1. So, that's kind of the income ranges that we see, is usually around the $60,000 to $100,000, depending on household size. So we have to go out and try and find enough subsidy to make those homes affordable to that income population. So currently we're, securing about 200, a little bit over 200,000 per home, bringing the homes into final sale to the home buyer of about $200,000 to $240,000. So that's kind of the income range that we're kind of targeting and that we're working on to try to make these homes affordable. And as we go through, there's different programs that have different income requirements, and we can kind of talk as we go through further. So on the technical assistance developments, again, this is what Peter had mentioned, where we assist municipalities, private developers, other nonprofit organizations to help create affordable housing opportunities. Many times, local jurisdictions or IDA requirements set forth that a developer must bring 10 or 20% of the units online must be workforce or affordable housing. So entail, we work with these private developers. We go into what's called the technical assistance agreement, and we do a lot of the marketing and the screening, whether it's home ownership or it's rental, to get people in the homes, to help them get leased up or to help them with sales. Also on the home ownership side, we can work with different funding sources to bring the homes into a more affordable level as well. And this is where we talked about, there's all different income levels. Some rental units or home ownership units are marketed and targeted at 80% or below AMI. Other ones could go up to 100% or 120% AMI. So it kind of runs the gamut. On the 120% AMI units for home ownership, we're looking at anywhere from 300 to 350,000 is kind of what the cap on the sales price will be. And that's again for people who a household of one max is 131,000 and change, and then up to a household of four at that level is $187,550. So again, higher incomes, but still a tremendous need trying to fight the marketplace that's out there on Long Island. And a lot of the times we see market rate homes going for 500,000-600,000, which prices people even at the 120% income level out of the market. So again, in 2023, we're projecting to assist over 1,000 households through our different programs. Many of them, which is good news, are rental units, because we do have a low rental housing stock here on Long Island. So there is a lot more transit-oriented downtown development happening. So we do see a lot of developers coming in with a portion of their development as affordable. So we're working with them. And then we have some home ownership units out in Yaphank off William Floyd Parkway, the mega development over there. We're working with Beechwood Homes now on their last phase of about 8 condos that we did. We did about 32 already in their first 2 phases, and now there's 8 more available that are being marketed now. And if anybody has any questions about what are the different types of programs, what are we administering, our website, www.lihp.org, has a lot of information, and anything that's available currently is usually listed on the front page, but it also goes over home ownership programs, rental programs, education, counseling, anything else that we do. So it's a valuable resource, and any questions, it's somewhere where you can go and try and get some answers. Here's just some examples of different programs we've worked on over the last few years. You'll see on the top row there's many in the village of Farmingdale. We've worked on 5 to 6 programs in the last 10 years there. Some are rental, some are home ownership. And then obviously, as we go further down, you see the Reserve in Yaphank was a rental development. It was the first one to go into that development on William Floyd Parkway. And now we're into the home ownership phase there as well with Beechwood, as I mentioned. Gray Barn again is a 110 development there south of Southern State Parkway. It was a mobile home park that was converted into a 500 affordable, 500 market rate units with 100 affordable set aside. So we've been working on that, and we're nearing the end of leasing all of those units up. Copper Beach Village was a home ownership development that we worked with Mayor Paul Pontieri on many years ago in the village of Patchogue. And it was 80 total units, 40 of which were affordable and workforce. And again, these all had deed restrictions on them that upon resale, they'd be sold to another homeowner. So now we're working on current resales that happen when people are moving out of them because they're 2-bedroom units. Maybe people started families or trying to find bigger homes now. So we work with the sellers to help try and find new buyers and get the funding sources subordinated over. Tritech, most people who've been to the village of Patchogue, you can't miss it. It's north corner of North Ocean Avenue and Main Street. It's a large development, over 300 units there. We had about 60 plus affordable units in that development, which was a major transition project in the village of Patchogue that came right after Copper Beach. And Highland Green in Melville was a little bit different model. It was a limited equity co-op where the residents, 117 residents, were able to get units in a nice, desirable area. And then obviously some other programs that we run, we wanted to cover as well. These are all home ownership programs. And these again are other ancillary programs that help people get into homes. So we run down payment assistance programs in Nassau County and in the towns of Babylon and Brookhaven. And the Long Island Down Payment and Rehabilitation Assistance Program is something that we brought online with state funding about 2 years ago to help with these different programs. So we'll talk further as we go through the slides. So first, Town of Babylon Down Payment and Town of Brookhaven are very similar programs. We work with both jurisdictions. Obviously, as realtors know, and as people in the housing industry know, with the uptick in home prices and interest rates rising now, we have been working with both towns to increase the amount of down payment subsidy that we can bring to the table. And both this year have increased it to $39,000, which hopefully will help get more people in the door. Years ago, it was about $20,000 to $25,000 that they provided. So it's almost doubled in some cases. And again, these are programs that open usually once a year. They're for people who are looking to buy homes in either the Town of Babylon or the Town of Brookhaven. And they have a requirement of a minimum of a down payment of $3,000 usually, $5,000. And then we can bring in the other assistance towards closing costs or down payment assistance. Nassau County is another area where we work in, and obviously that being a bigger high cost area, home prices being much higher in Nassau than they are in many areas in Suffolk. We're looking now to secure $50,000 per household, per qualified household for this program. It should launch either by the end of this year or early 2024. We're finalizing that now with the county. And again, this is a program that, is very valuable because it's very hard for people at 80% or below AMI with the interest rates climbing to be able to purchase homes in Nassau County. And again, as we talked about, the Long Island Down Payment Assistance and Rehab Program, LIHP we call it, is a program that we initiated about 2 years ago with the state. Because again, we were having a hard time getting people through these programs because they were getting outbid. They weren't able to find homes in their price range. So we said, why don't we look to try and tie state funding as well with the federal home funds that the county and the towns provide to do that. So we're getting up to $40,000 from the state for a rehab component, as well as some portion of it goes for down payment and closing costs. So again, all of this kind of goes around trying to help people in today's marketplace with the high interest rates, with home costs still being at a high level. Again, it's difficult for home buyers at or below 80% to be out there in the market trying to find homes.
So let me just comment a few things, James, on this. So these, we talked about Nassau, we talked about Babylon, we talked about Brookhaven. Sometimes people ask about Suffolk County. Suffolk County runs their own program. We provide the mortgage counseling for them as well. But these programs they open and close at certain different times of the season. So again, I refer you to go back to our website to take a look at when they are open. If I was someone that was using one of these programs, I'd want to know, how are these funds secured? They're secured with a lien and a no mortgage put on the property, but it goes behind the primary lender. So there's usually not an issue with the primary lenders. We meet with all the lenders early on and tell them and provide them with the documentation so that when these programs do open up, that they're familiar with what is going to go on and what lien position they're going to take. So it is not an issue. But these programs are rotating. They do open and close at certain times of the year. And again, the best, if you're interested or some client's interested in it, you can go on our webpage and get the information. If you need more, you're always welcome to call the partnership. So thank you, James.
Yep. So another program that we run on the homeownership side is what we call the employer assisted housing program. This program started about 20 years ago with trying to help employers retain and recruit employees. And we've had very great success with the program. Northwell is one of the largest subscribers to the program. And we actually just worked with New York State, Northwell, and another nonprofit to help expand the program into other areas of the state, New York City, Westchester, and areas such as that, because Northwell has a lot of office space hospitals in those areas and are trying to help their employees in other regions. So we helped, even though we only cover Nassau and Suffolk, we helped to work on the expansion of this program to help other areas. And a little bit about the program. Again, it's very minimal employer contribution. We do all the legwork. We only work with them on sign up. All they have to do is sign a letter of how many employees they want to help throughout the year. It could be anywhere from 1 to Northwell helps up to 30 each year. Employees try and get into homes. You know, a lot of the times I think they provide up to 3,000 to 5,000. Northwell provides 5,000. Other employers, you know, provide 3,000, and then some in the past have done up to $10,000. And the good thing about this program is it kind of covers 2 income levels, as we talked about. So there's the 80% AMI level that they get a little bit more subsidy from, because we have $40,000 maximum from the state. They get 38 for down payment. And also the rehab component goes into that as well. And then there's $12,000 that are provided from the local municipalities from federal home funds. So they can get up to $50,000 to help down payment and rehabilitation costs when they're in category 1. And in category 2, because every employer has different income levels, different job descriptions. So we feel it's important to also try and help those, you know, that may be at a higher income level. So New York State provides a grant of up to $25,000 for households at or below 120% AMI, with the same requirements. A portion of it goes for down payment and a portion of it goes for rehabilitation and repairs. And as Peter mentioned, these funds are a 0 interest deferred loan for 10 years. After year 5, the recapture goes down by 20% each year to year 10. So the longer you stay in the home, the more forgiveness, and at year 10, it's totally forgiven. And then, you know, education and counseling is a critical tool. All of our programs that we administer on the homeownership side, we mandate people to come in for one-on-one counseling, either in person, via Zoom. And we feel it's very critical to make sure we get our buyers in and we, you know, let them know the home buying process, credit budgeting, not only people who are ready and come in and, you know they're ready and have a price point they're already looking for, but it's also important for people to get them ready. You know, some people are a year, 2 years, 3 years ready down the road. We work with them through that process. So it's a vital tool. And then obviously anybody who's struggling, who's in their home at risk of default, falling behind on their mortgage, we also provide foreclosure prevention counseling, or default counseling, as we call it. So over the last few years, you know, there wasn't as much on the foreclosure prevention side due to COVID and moratoriums that were put in place. But obviously with high interest rates and you know, people maybe having a hard time, you know, getting refinancing because of the higher interest rates if they had a lower payment before. So we anticipate an uptick in that over the next couple of years. So we do have that on hand as well.
Yeah, I want to also say that we have bilingual training sessions as well. We have bilingual capabilities. Anyone who needs any assistance can always obtain that assistance, just letting us know. We do group sessions, if people want an overview what it means to be a homeowner and, what it requires for them to be able to get a mortgage, and then they can come in for one-on-one counseling, or they can come in on one-on-one counseling if they have a home already selected, and we can work with them. So there's various ways to do that. We can do it remotely, as well. So there's many different ways since COVID has hit. A lot of people like to do it sometimes, a little bit later in the evening when their children go to sleep, and other times they want to do it in the morning or want to come in right away. So we try to accommodate the needs of all the people that are looking for the counseling. So.
Right, and so we just wanted to cover one new initiative that we're going to be starting by the end of this year. Late last year in 2022, we were contacted by New York State that they wanted to create a funding source for what they call +1 ADU program. What this is to help in the creation of new accessory dwelling units, or to improve an existing ADU or bring it into code if it's not in compliance with local and state code requirements. So we're working now with 3 different towns, town of Brookhaven, Huntington, and Southold. And, to varying degrees, we anticipate these programs kicking off before year end. And a maximum of $125,000 in assistance is available to homeowners at or below 100% of the area median income. So this is another, tool that we'll be working on in the next year, that hopefully will not only help people maybe create new ADU units and help with the issues around rental housing and the low percentage of rental housing being available to people, but also help bring homes into compliance that may have an accessory dwelling unit or an apartment illegally done. So we feel like this will be another good tool for us to work on. And then lending, as Peter had mentioned, we have a Long Island Housing Partnership Community Development Financial Institution was established a few years ago. Our main goal for this, we have $2 million in lines of credit that we're able to give out to our small builders that do single family scattered sites across Nassau and Suffolk County. And we're able to bring in low cost construction and pre-development financing to help them bring the homes onto line and make them more affordable by not driving up the prices due to high interest construction loans. And then, as many know, in the realty industry, fair housing is a critical aspect, and an important part of what we do here. We have a fair housing education coordinator, Sharon Mullen, on staff here. We just completed our annual staff training of 3 hours. We mandate each staff person to have 3 hours of fair housing training each year. And it's a very vital tool because you may know the laws from 2 years ago, but everything's always changing. So as much as we stay up to speed, Peter and myself, there's always new things we learn each year of what new initiatives are out there, what new case studies may have come out on examples throughout the parts of the country, what the people have been sued on and things like that. So obviously it's a critical aspect of what we do here as well in all of our programs. And then, as Peter mentioned, our disaster relief obviously has been very busy over the last few years, starting with Superstorm Sandy, and then obviously the last 3 years working on COVID emergency rental assistance programs, which we had received over $60 million between 2 towns, in the town of Hempstead and the town of Oyster Bay. And what this program is to get people, landlords and tenants, back up to speed on where they were if they'd fallen behind on their rent. And obviously it helped landlords keep their doors open and not fall into disrepair with their rental units as well. So those programs are now winding down. By the end of the summer, we anticipate all of them being closed down. We're just getting the remainder of the money out the door now. And then advocacy and outreach is obviously getting the word out, such as events like this, and just getting, not only locally, but also from a national objective, having people understand what Long Island is. Some people have a different view on what it is. They think the Hamptons and only rich people. But, obviously it's important to bring the word out that there's a lot of struggling communities and areas, and, people even with good jobs are having a hard time affording homes on Long Island. And again, as we had said, please check our website. All of the information is available there. Peter and myself and our team here are always available to call by phone as well, but obviously we want to make sure our website's up to date and we try and keep everything there so people have it at their fingertips. So again, thank you. We're happy to answer any questions or, stay on for a little bit longer.
I think all the questions were answered, and I know with your permission, we can put this on the LIBOR website so somebody who missed it could watch the replay.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us, and we look forward to having you back again at
Yes,
another time.
thank you, Mary.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mary Ann.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll be in touch.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.